Hey guys, let me hope you're doing well wherever you are around the world. It's a beautiful afternoon here in Oklahoma City. And again, let me hope you're doing well also wherever you are. And what I'm going to do today, I will be doing something different given the fact that I finished my last episode of my second book on Thursday. I will be reviewing my first book given the fact that Jay Battles had some few things that came up on Thursday. And that's the reason why we couldn't go over chapter 11. It's okay to cry. I will be actually reading each and every paragraph of each chapter, starting from chapter 11 to chapter 18, and I will be speaking based on those paragraphs also. Without wasting much of your time, let me go ahead and start. And again, chapter 11, it's okay to cry. I start by saying I've had many times people say that men or big boys don't cry. Is it true? I understand sometimes people just say this for fun or due to songs or movies that have been released in recent years pertaining to these particular words. But the truth of the matter is that it's never wrong to cry. In fact, it's a good for your mental health. Emotional tear release endorphins and oxytocin. Why these two chemicals important? They make people feel good and may also help with reducing emotional and physical pain. Therefore, crying can help reduce pain. So never feel embarrassed to cry. It's good for your mental health and can also reduce pain. Because people think maybe by crying it's a sign of weakness. It's not a sign of weakness, it's just a sign of strength. Just as it said in chapter 8, learn to seek help. So never feel that crying is a sign of weakness, it's a sign of strength. Let's move on to chapter 12. And again, chapter 12, the test of being firstborn in an African family. Being firstborn in any family is often accompanied with duties and responsibilities. Firstborns are actually one of the most important people in the world. If you're firstborn in your family, congratulations, you're already a leader. Firstborn tends to possess characteristics of leadership and obedience. They are also more likely to achieve high in terms of academics, and their level of intelligence is usually higher than those of their youngest siblings. If you fall in this category, keep the candle burning. You're a light to your younger ones. And again, that's the first paragraph of chapter 12, the test of being firstborn in an African family. And again, when I mention an African family, it's because I'm an African, and we do have our own way of behaving around our younger ones and also our parents. We tend to hold higher standards, and that's the reason why I decided to try this chapter. And I understand when it comes to Western world, they have their own way of also behaving differently when it comes to their responsibilities and duties around their youngest ones and also their parents. And again, Hispanics or African Americans or Caucasians, they have their own way of doing that. And you can review this chapter. You will find more. And again, not going to read you the entire chapter. Let me go ahead and move on to the next one, chapter 13. And again, chapter 13, each and every one of us has a story. As long as you're in this app and you're old enough to understand what's happening in your life and those around you, you already have a story to share. Things that people experience in their daily lives are the build-up of the story. The less things you experience, the less story you will have to tell. And the more things you go through or witness, the more story you'll be able to share. Some of us like sharing while others do not. We have stories that are only kept within the family members, and we have those that are released to the public intentionally. Why do people share stories? Have you ever asked yourself this question? Again, sharing of stories is one way of human being connecting. And again, let's say you're sharing a story with your friend. Why are you doing that? You're just transferring your experience directly to their brain. And by doing this, you expect them to feel a certain way as well. And again, it's important to share our stories. It's also one way of connecting. And we do have things that we experience in life, and it can be small, it can be huge. And this is just a buildup of stories you will have to share with either your coworker or your friends. And again, it's just one way of connecting, and you expect them to feel a certain way. You expect them to empathize if those stories are bad, and you also expect them to feel happy if those stories are good. So it's good to share stories because each and every one of us has a story again. And again, that's chapter 13. Let's move to chapter 14, which is every problem has a solution. I start by saying life can be full of problems. We're living in a world today that's full of problems, starting with suicide, mental health illnesses, cancer, HIV and AIDS, gender inequality, poverty, human trafficking, racism, tribalism, climate change, corruption, murder and theft cases, etc. These are issues that are being faced by people around the world. When you talk about some of the issues like poverty and theft cases, people might think that they only affect people who are in third world countries. Little do they know that the majority of people in Western countries struggle with these issues as well. It's surprising, isn't it? When I moved to America, I thought all people were rich. One day while driving with my dad in his car, he pointed out some people in the streets who were homeless. Do you think I was surprised? I wasn't, because I knew they were just people. They were just like poor people in Kenya where I was born and raised. And again, that's the first paragraph of that chapter. And every problem has a solution. Is it true? And I believe you've heard that phrase before. And you will have to understand that we do have problems in our life. It can be suicide, it can be human trafficking, it can be corruption, it can be tribalism, racism, hooliganism. All these are problems. It's just a matter of finding way to solve them, because if you let them compile, it will be uncontrollable and you won't be able to solve them appropriately. So it's good to solve problems when they're still young. They say samaki mukunje angali mubichi. That's Swahili phrase. And again, it's good to fold a fish when it's still young, because if you let it grow up, you will have an issue of folding that fish. So it's good to solve this problem when they're still young in order to avoid so many issues later on. And again, that's chapter 14. Let's move to chapter 15. These two shall pass. Have you ever found yourself in a situation that was difficult? What did you do? What came to your mind? Did you think that the situation will get better or no? Sometimes we find ourselves in some very difficult situation, and it's very easy to lose control of everything when we are not prepared. In fact, it doesn't matter if you're well prepared, because a difficult situation does not care. It can still affect you in one way or the other. Despite what comes your way, you should never give up. Keep your head straight and always remember all circumstances are temporary. Someone may be wondering, what do you mean by saying that all circumstances are temporary when I've been struggling with these issues for almost a decade and it has never gone away? Acknowledge what you're going through, and what I'm hoping for is is that you find your joy. Even if you're going through a hard time, there are still possibilities of finding happiness and seeing the light at the end of a long and winding tunnel. And again, these too shall pass. We all have problems, as I said in chapter 14, and just know that it will pass, even if it's a financial burden, if you're dealing with difficult people, or if you're currently going through a divorce, or if you're experiencing mental breakdown. All these things will pass. And just know that it's just a matter of time. It will not be here it will not be here permanent. Some of the things will be here temporary, and some of the things will take long time, but never give up. Keep faith, and always remember, tough times never last, but tough people do. And that's chapter 15. Let's move to chapter 16, dealing with difficult people. Wow, we all have difficult people in our life who drive us crazy. They are frustrating and annoying. Even if these people came with a big sign, they must still be difficult to avoid. We have the power to control who we allow in our life, but it's not that easy to wipe out toxic people from our life completely. That's the reality. Why? They might be our direct bosses, closest relatives, friends, girlfriend, boyfriend, etc. And we have them. They're all over the place. Bully guns, they're all over. And again, I did share some story, or I did share in chapter 3, learn to say no to bullies. I experienced some few things when I was working in a certain organization back in Virginia. I experienced some bullies, and they gave me a hard time, and that's the reason why I came up with this chapter. They were just as the same age as me, but these people really gave me a hard time, and that's the reason why I do not like difficult people. I do not tolerate bullies. I do not tolerate hooligans, because these people, they have a big issue, and it's just a matter of knowing how to navigate around those type of individuals. And if you find yourself in those shoes, just know how to be yourself. And again, just know how to navigate around them. You should never allow them to make you feel like you're not enough or you're just inferior. You should never allow that to happen to you. And again, that's chapter 16, dealing with difficult people, because they're all over the place. It can be your family member, it can be your relative, it can be your uh, girlfriend or boyfriend, etc. And again, just know how to deal with those type of individuals. You should never give them the power, or you should never let them make you feel like you're useless. That's what I can say. And that's very much when it comes to chapter 16, dealing with difficult people. Let's move to chapter 17 as we move to the end. Always be prepared for the unexpected. Being prepared for the unexpected is perhaps the best technique we can use to face difficult situations that may occur randomly. What does preparing for the unexpected look like, and what can we do to get there? And again, the best example of unexpected could be like loss of the family member, car breaking down in the middle of nowhere, or coming back from work only to find out that your beautiful girlfriend left you. And again, those are some of the things that can be unexpected. It's just a matter of knowing or preparing for them, because at the end of the day, an unexpected event will always come up. And again, you can see the death of family member. That's inevitable, and we are all going to go through that path, and it's painful. It's not easy. It's just a matter of knowing or preparing for those type of events. And again, that's chapter 17. Always be prepared for the unexpected. And we move to the last one. And again, staying true to yourself is also one of the most important chapters in this book. Behaving according to your beliefs and doing what you think is right is perhaps the most difficult thing to do, but trust me, it's necessary. No matter how hard it gets, always remember that you have to remain true to yourself, even if it means to stand alone. By being true to yourself, you're completely honest with what you feel, value, and desire. Additionally, it also means to express your feeling from your heart, both with yourself and those around you. This will allow truth to flow through you and the world. And again, staying true to yourself, because we live in a world where people are faking themselves, and you'll never know who's true to himself or herself. So being true to yourself is very important, because by doing that, you're allowing the truth to flow through you and to the world. And again, if it means to stand alone against bigotry, hooliganism, racism, tribalism, corruption, do that, because it will define you. And again, if you haven't had a copy of my second book, Resume in Football, aka Soccer, I say in chapter 17, time to take action. Thomas Jefferson's quote: "Do you know who you are? Act. Action will delineate and define you." And again, it was once said, "Be careful what you tolerate. You're teaching people how to treat you." So it's good to be true to yourself, even if it means to stand alone. And that way, you will overcome so much hooliganism and hooliganism around you, because they're all over the place and you will find them. So that concludes our chapters. And again, that's the first book, Just the Other Day. It's a good book, actually. If you haven't had a copy, I encourage you to get a copy on the Amazon. We only have a paperback version, and it's currently at $19.99, which is cheap. You can find a copy and you'll be able to see all those things I shared with you. And we're looking forward to do other things moving forward, given the fact that I've concluded this book. And even if it means to do live sessions and Q&A, we will do that with Jay Battles. And I would like to thank him and those who have been tuning into his YouTube. You've done a good job, and may God bless you. And always remember that we are strong together. Together we're united, and when we are divided, we fall. So let's keep faith and let's keep moving. I love you guys. I will always do. Thank you.